Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Now, boom, man. For those of you the first time on the channel, look, I'm going to go ahead and tell it to you right now to hold your horses and don't take it to the stupid. If you think Derrick James needs to be champion for not stopping the Spence versus Crawford fight. Now, listen, man. There's some conversation bubbling up that Errol Spence gave Derrick Derrick James a direct command to let him go out on his shield. Now, Derrick James did not say that. But my thing is this. When Derrick James did that, well, he was during the post-fight press conference, and, there's multiple outlets there recording his little post-fight commentary, right? One of those videos that Fight Hub has out there, man, Derrick James goes on to say, and this is what makes me sick to my stomach, right? Because I don't care if Errol Spence did tell him, let me go out on my shield. Let me tell you what the problem is, okay? I'm about to explain this to you, but right now I'm sitting here shaking my head. Derrick James says that he didn't stop the fight because he was watching Errol Spence and he was still trying to get him to take away the things from Bud Crawford does well. Take those things away from Bud Crawford. And my thing is, Errol Spence wasn't able to do it. You know what I'm saying? At the end of round 3, you should have realized this ain't going to be your night. Round 4, you should have realized this isn't going to be your night. Round 5, 6, especially round 7. And then he goes on to say, right, that he knew Errol Spence's timing was off. Something seemed off. His timing wasn't there. Okay, by rounds 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you should have known something was wrong. Then he goes on to say, yeah, I knew he was standing in front of Crawford, and I just knew that, his legs didn't seem underneath him. Okay, by rounds 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you should have known that you probably shouldn't let him go out there again. If you see it, I'm going to tell you right now, if he's going on record, and these aren't my words, people, and he's saying Errol Spence didn't have his legs, Errol Spence didn't have his timing, Errol Spence was standing in front of Terrence Crawford, who we know is a vicious puncher with both left and right hand, in particular with that right hand. And we know when Crawford goes into the phone booth and comes out as southpaw man, that's when fights normally end. In this case, Crawford entered the ring as southpaw man. So he put on the cape and everything in the dressing room. And you'll sit there and knowingly allow Errol Spence to get what was looking to me like he was getting beat to death. That's a foul. Now, I don't care what anyone says about Errol Spence gave him a direct command. Let me go out on my shield. Get out of here trying to discourage me from going out and trying to convince me that we need to take a knee and come back to fight another day. I'm telling y'all right now, when Derrick James says, yeah, well, I had the doctor there, and I was talking to the doctor, we're talking in between the rounds, and we're kind of watching him. If you have to sit there, man, and round after round, you and the doctor having conversations, you probably need to stop the fight. Now, for those of you who want to say, well, hell, Deontay Wilder, look at what he went through. Look at what he endured facing Tyson Fury. Now, I'm going to tell you this right now, all right? I get it. I understand your position, and I understand the point you would be trying to make if you're trying to say, well, hold on, Hood. You can't sit here now and give Derrick James a whole lot of flack because you seem to have kind of gotten behind Deontay Wilder going out on his shield. Why not be cool with Errol Spence going on his shield? If you're going to give Derrick James pressure, you need to give Malik Scott pressure. What I'll say to that is this. Deontay Wilder did not get thrown from a car at over 100 miles an hour. Deontay Wilder never coded and was brought back to life. Deontay Wilder didn't have to have, these partials or whatever, some skin grafts. He didn't have to have the type of stuff done that Errol Spence had to do. Errol Spence had to learn how to walk again, man. So you guys, there's a lot of information that has been omitted. I think advertently by some of these content creators. Okay, now, but what I will say is, in that Fury Wilder trilogy fight, to me they should have stopped that fight too, because Wilder had got the hell beat out of him in that second fight, and to see the type of damage he was taking in that third fight, although he did have great moments, and no matter what anybody want to say about the shady business, the Kinahan connection, and all the other stuff, that's been mentioned about foul play on Tyson Fury's part. You're right. Deontay Wilder, in my opinion, took way too much damage. There was no need for him to get beat like that. But at the end of the day, we're talking about Errol Spence. Let me tell you something. Mark Breland is the coach, is an ex-professional boxer. He is the person who's been blackballed, who should be champion. We should be lifting him up over our shoulders and celebrating him, because what he did, I understand people saying, oh, the secret society, and he fixed the fight, and he's, well, this is a fact right here that Mark Breland, had connections to that Kronk gym, you know what I'm saying? So that's a fact. Not saying that there was any foul play, but just for those of you who didn't know, okay, Mark Breland had connections to that Kronk gym, okay? So let's not get it twisted. But Mark Breland is the one who did something what I truly feel out of love, which is, can't let this man get beat like this and threw the towel in, because he knew Deontay Wilder couldn't win that fight. We know he's got the power and all that, but no matter where he's going to beat Tyson Fury in that second fight. And then when you come down and look at Derrick James, kind of similar situation. He should have been Mark Breland. Him and Errol Spence can sit back, they can quarrel, but I'll tell you what, I think Errol Spence's dad would have chimed in and been okay with that fight being stopped. You know what I'm saying? But this is something that we probably need to talk more about, these fighters and the corners being okay with the fighters going out on their shields. Look, there aren't many fighters who can come back, at the last 10 seconds, 4 or 5 seconds of the last round and get a stoppage like Julio Cesar Chavez did against Meldrick Taylor. You got to have the right referee on your side to make those things happen. Y'all understand? And some will still lose, but not many can come close to pulling off the upset, like Chavez Jr. against Sergio Martinez in that final round. You understand? When you're getting beat like that, what Errol Spence was going through, you don't let that continue. You just don't let it continue. So now we're sitting here and all eyes are on Derrick James, because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not the only one who feels that he should have stopped that fight. And to make things worse, Derrick James has further exacerbated this web of drama that he's in now by getting in front of the camera and continuing to say how he doesn't watch boxing, he doesn't watch fighters, he doesn't know what a lot of these fighters can and can't do because he doesn't watch boxing. He'll just focus on his fighter, making his fighter better. Now, after what Errol Spence went through, this man sitting here, and he's still going to have those kind of conversations with the media? I mean, at least just don't say anything. Don't lie, but just don't say nothing. Like, someone needs to get a hold of Derrick James and chirp him up real quick and say, my man, you need to listen a whole lot and talk very little when it comes to how you don't watch boxing and you don't know the strengths of some of your fighters. You don't worry about that. You're still learning them, and like, that's crazy to me. And their opponents, how you don't know anything about them. You just gotta, just go and look at a few clips and videos to see, or just focus on what your guy can do, can improve on, what the things your guy does good, and just enter the ring with that. It's got to be more to his approach, which I think it is. I just don't think he likes to say it. Got to be more to his approach. to preparing a fighter to go to war. And I tell you what, going forward, I don't care if Errol Spence tells him, if you stop this fight, you're fired. You know what? Derrick James should be cool with getting fired, because he ain't gonna have too many fighters underneath him if he doesn't stop that fight and Errol Spence or one of his fighters get killed. Now, I just sat there and watched, what's the guy's name? Navarrete and Ramirez or Ramos. Somebody just fought. Anyway, I was watching that fight and saying to myself, these guys are going to kill each other. You know, don't get me wrong. I like to see a mashup crash up. I like to see guys get in there and bang it out. You know what I mean? I do. I like to see that. But there comes a point sometimes, man. It's not even when you look at that one fight in particular. When you start to look at these guys who get in the ring, who take a lot of damage, right? And I'm not talking about Errol Spence right now. We know that was the first fight where we really seen him get like beat down, you know. But when you look at some of these other fighters who are in these shootouts over and over and over again, nobody's really thinking about how we could have another Freddie Roach on our hands with Parkinson, Muhammad Ali on our hands with Parkinson. Could end up with another Pritchard Colon on our hand. You know, guys have brain damage, have guys passing away in the ring. But you know, boxing is a brutal sport. It's not a tickling contest. But out of everyone who's fighting right now, there's one fighter who I'm very worried about, especially because he wants to exercise his rematch clause, and he's going into a fight with Terrence Crawford, and I'm talking about Errol Spence, with a coach who believes that it's not what Crawford did, it's what Errol Spence didn't do. And he feels that Errol Spence in the rematch is going to defeat Terrence Crawford. And I'm going to tell y'all right now, if Derrick James doesn't change his way of doing business, some of y'all don't want to hear what I'm about to say, but I'm going to say it, and I mean it. This rematch with Terrence Crawford at 154, Errol Spence can get badly injured people. For those of you who say, nah, he'll be stronger, 154 is where he's supposed to be, check this out. Word on the street, Errol Spence really should be fighting at 160, 168. Errol Spence has no business down there even at 154. For those of you who don't know, it's a struggle for Errol Spence to get to 154. Like 154 is more like, that's like the weight he should stop at. 147 is where he has no business being. Kind of like Devin Haney at 135. But he has discipline beyond imagination, and he gets down to it. But he kills himself. At 154, he struggles to get to 154, but he's not killing himself. But what I'm getting at for Errol Spence, the optimal weight for him is probably more like that 160, 168. So for Terrence Crawford, I think that extra 7 pounds plays more to the advantage of Terrence Crawford. And I'm telling you, man, y'all better get ready. And let's see what happens. And get prepared, because I don't think it's going to end well for Errol Spence. I just don't. And a lot of times I can sit here and say, well, you know, if he does this, if he does that. I can't do that on this fight. It was so one-sided, so ridiculous. It was so devastating. Everything went wrong on Errol Spence's side. And 99.9% of that had to do with Terrence Crawford. The other thing that concerns me about Errol Spence, I think he needs to bring in some more trainers. And what I mean is, you look at Jermell Charlo. Jermell Charlo has Derrick James. He's got Juan Guzman, and he has somebody else. He got several set of eyes that's helping him. A lot of people don't realize that. They think it's just Derrick James. No, first he was with Ronnie Shields for all those years. So he got everything Ronnie Shields told him. Then he's got the insight from Juan Guzman. Those of you who don't know who Juan Guzman was, an amazing fighter out of the Dominican Republic. Go look up Juan Guzman. Watch his videos. Man, that man was Mayweather. It's just a Spanish-speaking Mayweather. Amazing fighter. Okay? But look him up so you understand how important it is and the significance of the role he plays being in the corner of Jermell Charlo. That fight, that when Jermell beat Castaño, that win was attributed to the insight that Juan Guzman provided. So I'm just letting y'all know, man. Errol Spence may need to get him a Juan Guzman or someone else in addition to Derrick James to help him. Because this whole thing about trying to go through an object, it's one thing you're trying to go through a wall of tissue, a wall of paper. We're trying to go through a brick wall, a wall made of concrete. He's probably going to have some issues. And that's why I think Errol Spence needs someone else on his team to help him. Now, I'm not saying he should get rid of Derrick James. He's loyal, I get it. But you know what? How would it hurt to bring on like my guy, man, John David Jackson? Y'all like that guy as a trainer. But what would it hurt to have him come in as a consultant and just come in there and offer a little bit of help? Because if they want to beat Terrence Crawford, Derrick James ain't the guy to get the job done. I'm just telling you right now. And with Errol Spence and his mentality, he reminds me of like an Anthony Joshua. He's ready to learn. He's ready to work. But I think Derrick James is taking Errol Spence as far as he could possibly take him. And I think he can get a little further if he brings in some additional help. I think he needs to do that, but I doubt they will. But that being said, just for those of you guys out there, that's something that came up. Errol Spence gave a direct command to Derrick James to let him go out on his shield, don't stop the fight. And that's exactly what he did. Errol Spence almost got his ass killed in that ring. The referee stopped it probably, I say the second round, third round, probably 5 rounds too late. But definitely round 7 at the late. I mean, it should have been, it's 5 rounds too late, but that round 7, no way in the world he should have come out after round 7. No way. But it should have been stopped earlier. And also a foul on the referee's part. Absolute foul on the referee's part. He should have stopped the fight. Everybody dropped the ball. Everybody dropped the ball. You know what I'm saying? The beating that Errol Spence took was so bad that, I don't know if you guys seen that clip, the MMA fighter. The guy was beating the other guy so bad because the other guy he was outclassed that the guy who was winning, he tapped out. And the other guy got the win. He was beating the guy so bad that he stopped hitting him and he tapped out because he didn't want to hurt him anymore. Isn't that crazy? With that being said, man, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. I don't care what Derrick James says. I don't care what the doctor told him in between the rounds. If you see your man, his balance isn't there, his timing isn't there, he's standing directly in front of a guy like Terrence Crawford, not getting out the way. Round after round after round after round, you're sitting there watching that. You're expecting a different outcome. Round after round after round, you're not getting any change. Something wrong with you. Derrick James should have stopped that fight. Anyway, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans. 7 continents in the breeze.